transition. All right, guys, we're back again, and making a pillow. I started a broadcast a minute ago and totally messed up my pillow. It happens. All right, so here is we're going to start with a cube like we did before. Just going to squeeze this down quite a bit. And get a relative size. I'm going to go over into, move it over into the area that it's supposed to be in. Get it lined up as best we can. Now this isn't a full-on tutorial or anything, nor is it the best way to do any of these practices. It's just what I'm doing to get this done, so don't be a hater. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and start to shape this. Before I start sculpting it, I'm going to actually shape it a little bit first. So we're just going to go into edit mode here and probably give it a few loop cuts here, because I'm going to wind up needing to move some of this around. And let's see here. I'm also going to wind up beveling the outer edges, but I want to kind of move some of this stuff first. And let's just go ahead and alt-click some of these sections. He's been laying on this pillow for a while now. He's not dead. Not yet, anyway. I'm horrible. This is just, like I said, we get the general shape first. It's just the same exact way how I like to draw. We do all the big shapes, and then we will wind up going back, and so we can alt-click that. And doing the small stuff. So that's probably okay. And now I'm going to take all these outside edges here to start with. Probably the bottom edges as well. And just making sure I'm still on 0. I keep shifting my playhead for some reason. And we're going to bevel these edges. And you know what I didn't do, which we need to, is to apply my scale and rotation. And now we can go back in here into edit mode, bevel, and those will bevel more properly. And go ahead and add, a division or two to them. Probably 1 is fine for now. And I want to kind of also sag the pillow kind of in the middle to sort of match his head and body laying on it. So to some extent, I can pull this down. And you know what might be better is to use our proportional editing here. And of course we don't want it that large. Just the center of the pillow, like so. A little more here. Maybe a little more here. And you see how it sags everything. That's kind of the point. So we have that nice push down in the middle from him. And I'm thinking some of this stuff needs to be a little more gloopy. It's a pillow after all. And yes, I just made that word up. You get it though. Try to make this a little more irregular. This would squish out a little more because his head is in that position probably. I'm gonna make this a little more kind of irregular happening here like so. Picking random ones and kind of moving them around. It's probably not a bad idea. Like this. Push these back up maybe a little bit. Just trying to get a general shape. And now here we have something a lot more pillow-like, I think. And when we go in to sculpt this, it will make a lot more sense. Also, we do need to put a modifier on this. I like to use usually a multi-resolution modifier, but I think let's just go ahead and put a subdivision surface on here. We're going to see what that looks like. Let's go ahead and not optimize it real quick. And that's going to probably be okay. I'm going to go ahead and apply that though. And now we're going to go into sculpting and see what we can get away with at that larger resolution. And this is where we just use our nifty pen tool and start pushing stuff around, actually sculpting. And hopefully it won't be a horrible looking pillow in the end, which can definitely happen. It happened earlier, just today. Okay, so a little bit of that. We're going to wind up subdividing this a lot more. Guaranteed. Try not to make that too weirdly wedge shaped there. There we go. I'm just trying to soften these corners down a little bit too. I mean, pillows are kind of rectangular, but maybe not that much. And now I want to see about a man about a horse. Now I want to see if it is possible, because I don't really use this. Let's try a remesh on it. That's not what I wanted. Let's check it out again and remesh. So 0.1 is obviously too big, so we're going to go 0.01, and hopefully we won't crash everything while we do this. And that should give us some resolution here. I'm just going to try a little bit, and it's not, you know, it's giving us a little bit of room to work. And then this side, I think, should have an outward sort of seam coming out, probably a little bit more. So that remesh wound up being a little rougher than I expected it to be. So let's go ahead and maybe increase it to 0.001. Let's see what fineness we get out of that. Doesn't seem to have changed it at all. I don't know if that's just a limit of the way that works or what, but let's try a multi-resolution modifier on it now. This is more of what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and stop here. The viewport level, you can see at 2 is pretty good. So I'm just going to kind of come in here and go with a negative and sort of start shaping out where this opening is here. A little bit of the pillow sticking out. Hopefully. Not looking too horrible, but not too great. And that will have a tiny little, well, not tiny, but a bit of a small seam running along there. There will also be a bit of one running there. And I should just turn off the bed completely, but I needed to see where the pillow was laying on the mattress. So this will essentially get one running down here. And of course we can somewhat connect those up. We're never going to be on that side of the bed, so I'm not worried about that too much. And then this is really just a matter of sculpting stuff down, making it look good. Smoothing some stuff out, but not too smooth. Flattening some stuff out too. So this is kind of a family movie. It's a bit dark, but it's not gory or horrible or anything like that. It's just kind of a heartfelt, sad little movie. But it's hopeful, I believe, at the end, in my opinion. Alright, so I'm thinking of going with the Dyntopo here. It's probably telling me I've already got too many polygons in this object. Let's see. Vertex data detected. We're just going to say OK. And hopefully that will still work anyway. And unfortunately it looks like it took off my remesh. So we're going to try... Okay. Not supported in Dyntopo. The multi-resolution modifier. I see. Okay, so we'll turn off Dyntopo. See if our multi-resolution comes back, which it looks like it does. I'm going to have to smooth some of this out because of it ganked a few of these polys a little bit. Roughed them up pretty good. And I think what I'm going to wind up doing is applying this and then running a decimation on it, which I believe I can do. So we're just going to say, oh, there's no apply for the multi-res. Oh, because we're in sculpting mode. I knew that. We're going to come out of sculpting mode now, and I'll check out this grid on this pillow. It's pretty heavy, not horrible, but we're going to go ahead and apply the multi-res. And then I can go in here into sculpting into the Dyntopo. This is why I sculpt everything in ZBrush. It's so much easier. But we're going to try the Dyntopo now in here. And what that means is as I sculpt, it creates geometry. You can see, well, maybe not increasingly, amazingly well there. But it will increase the density of the geometry while we sculpt if that is on, and we say let's turn on our radius a bit to 29, and as I sculpt here it will, it's supposed to anyway, increase the geometry around, which I don't see it doing at the moment, and I do not know why. Let's double check. So that's at 12 pixels. So we can take this down to 5 now, and you'll see that it still does absolutely nothing. I love this, especially during a live stream. Subdivide, collapse, smooth shading. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be working at all. That's awesome. So, not sure why. And my cat is coming in right on cue, as expected. Brush stroke, blah, 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 Dyntopo. I don't know why you're not working. We may be making this pillow in ZBrush. We're going to keep what we've got of it, though, and I think I am going to take it into ZBrush because that is not, it's not great. And the way sculpting in Blender works, I'm not a fan. So we are going to save that. The whole bedroom we're saving. And then we're going to take this into ZBrush and do our thing. Okay, I think we're saved. No, we are still saving. It's a big file. There are a lot of objects in this room. Brought in a whole bunch of toys and things. Built a whole lot of stuff for this. If you're watching, say hello. Let me know what you think. And just waiting for the save. Looks like it has. So now we're going to export this out as a, just do it as an FBX. I'm going to call this pillow for ZBrush. We're going to go with selected objects only. No animation. Everything's good. And just say export. And it's done. Save that one more time. And then we'll open up. If you actually click on it, go to this lovely guy. And hopefully we'll have no problems running ZBrush with Blender at the same time. But you never know. All right. And what I'm hoping to do here pretty soon is a lot more videos that are shot and edited. It just takes a lot more time to do those kinds of videos, and time is something I seem to be in shorter supply of at the moment. All right, so we are going to open up ZBrush here. Let's go ahead and swap my window over, and there we go. There was a nice transition built in, but we don't have that going, I guess. And anyway, we're going to import our pillow, and you'll see the difference is night and day for see, it's night and day for sculpting in here compared to we don't want cameras. We're just going to say okay. Yeah, the comparison is there's not even a comparison. So here is our base pillow. Oh, and you know what I didn't do? We're going to have to do this one more time. I didn't put my center of geometry center, I think, on the pillow. It looks like it is, though, so I'm not sure. Well, I guess it is. For some reason in ZBrush, it looks like it's come up way up there, and I don't know why. Hang on. It should just roll out right here, but you see how it's going away from my pin. I'm not sure why. So we'll edit that. We will go ahead and move our tool here to the oops, didn't mean to mask. We're going to move our tool, unlock this, and move it to the actual object and relock. Something's going on here. Relock it. It's not exactly how I'd have that. Let's go ahead and do this and this. Get everything kind of lined up properly. It just helps. And I'll go ahead and relock that. Now we're going to sculpt on it, but you'll see that the sculpting is very different. So as it stands now, our polys look like this, which they're kind of insane. I'm going to go ahead and run our Dynamesh on this. We're going to bring it up to about there, see what happens. And it's running it. It's going to take a second. So now we have a Dynamesh, which will give us square polys. Let's zoom in and take a look at those. They're very tiny. We're about almost 2 million polygons on this, which we probably don't need to be. And we're going to look at divisions. I don't think anything is divided at the moment. Let's go ahead and drop down our Dynamesh a little more and try this again. Let's see where we get here. I just kind of want to lessen some of these. That's a lot better. Even more probably. My cat is begging for attention. No clue as to what her deal is, because she'll beg for attention and want to be petted, and you start petting her and she'll walk away and act like she doesn't want to be petted in the first place. Okay, so anyway, we've got this now. We're about down to 93,000, which I think is sufficient for what we're going to do here. I'm going to turn off that, and we're just going to kind of come in here and start smoothing a little bit. I don't want to change things, the overall shape of it too much, because that is basically the head shape and everything. So we're going to leave that as much as possible. But you'll be able to see that I'm just much more efficient and effective in here. Use a different brush here. Let's go ahead with the damn standard here and start kind of saying, hey, this is where our seam is. And you can just see the brushes, in my opinion, work way more responsive and as expected. It's very important, I think, for that to be that way. As an artist, you want your tools to do what you expect them to do. If they don't, it's kind of weird. So now we're going to get our move tool here and pull out some of those edges. Boy, man, I'm having a hard time finding things today. So open that up a little bit and just sort of pull out some of this over the top of the other, which I might have to make those smaller to get more of a just that edge going. You can also mask that pillow section, which is probably the best thing to do. In fact, let's mask this portion instead. So we'll just kind of mask this off. Basically, I'm telling it, don't touch anything that's been masked, but we're actually going to reverse that mask to where we are touching everything that is masked by selecting the inverse of the mask real quick. Just get this done a little better. I want to make sure we're not including anything on the pillow, but I can go back and unselect that here shortly by now going Alt on the mask. So anytime we see something like here on the pillow, I can say don't use that, don't use that, or this. And generally that will obey pretty well. All right. And I probably should have done that in the opposite fashion, but it's okay, because now, let me just zoom out, we can mask the rest of the pillow, or let me select the inverse real quick and just unselect all the rest of this. Is honestly probably a good way to do it. You can also do it with a drag rectangle, which I probably really should have, but this works as well. I probably will have to also turn it over and unpaint the underside. And the whole point here is just to only select what we want to move. So I'm talking like I'm half asleep still. I apologize. Just deselecting all this. Now on this end, this is probably what I should have done, is just masked that area to begin with, which I think I said that, but I don't remember. Okay, so now we're going to change our draw size. We're going to mask, but undo the mask. Not get any of that stuff. We are, however, going to get all this. Yeah, I'm not sure why I tried to reverse mask this. This is the end result right here. All right, so now we're going to tap just a little bit to kind of blur those edges out slightly. We do want to mask this a little bit more here. And I'll show you the purpose of this here now. With the move tool, oops, nope. With the move, there we go. With our move tool set really large, we're going to basically pull out those edges like that. That was the whole point of that. Okay, we're going to unmask everything. We're going to turn our draw size down now and zoom in here. Try to smooth out some of this kind of nastiness. Let's turn our brush size down quite a bit more. I'm going to clean up some of that. And I am going to re-Dynamesh, which is going to reorganize all of the polygons here. Now we can take our damp standard again and come in here and redefine that pillow edge. See, it's just a lot easier in here than it is in Blender to sculpt. Something I think that they need to work on a little bit. Also, I can take, let's say, mask this off because I don't want to affect any of this. Right on cue. And now take this area and pull it down to where it's kind of got a little more of a sag to it, as though it's hanging over that pillow area on the inside. It's a little better. Smooth out some of this stuff. Maybe even smooth out the edges a bit, straighten them up. Something like that. And we can frame this out. So you have that kind of look. I think that's working for us pretty good. And now I will come in with my damp standard again. And just sort of complete our seam there. Maybe kind of core this out just slightly, a little more, a little smoothing too. I got some really good advice for you guys. Don't get a cat. There's that. Not if you want peace. So get that seam sort of completed there again. All the way around to here. You can go in and tighten that up later on if you want to also. And let's get this sort of straight here. You can see some of these edges are a bit overly wonky. Okay, so there we go. And now I'm going to try and do some little edge seam there. Not sure what that's going on with that, but better. We don't need to do the bottom. It's never coming off the bed, so just kind of complete that like so. And do kind of an opposite one here. We'll never see this one anyway, but it's just the idea that it's there. Get that more situated, like so. Now I'm going to do a little experiment. And let's first of all change our material here, because I hate looking at that red wax after a while. Just go gray, and it's a little oddly shaped, but it's fine. And we're going to try a brush. Let me see what exists here for cloth. I'll just go C. Got cloth fold, cloth hook. I'm going to sneeze any second. Thank you. And I'm going to go with cloth dimple. Let's make this kind of big. This is just a, oh, I see. So that is like a pucker that could be used for other things not to be mentioned here. That's a little harsh though. I think that maybe if I turn down the intensity, turn up the draw size a lot more, maybe we'll get a little bit of a, okay, not what I'm looking for. This is what experimenting is good for. We'll go back to cloth here. Let's try there's cloth inflate, cloth move. Let's go with cloth nudge. Oh, that's pretty crazy. That's good. So let's go with a lower intensity, maybe a larger draw size. Gotta be careful. I'm not doing too many high frequency wrinkles, because then it's gonna look a little phony. That looks more like sheet wrinkles to me. I wonder if I do the intensity way up. Yeah, see, that's way too much. I'm gonna smooth some of those away. And what if we do it a smaller draw size? What is that gonna do? Okay, interesting. I think the wrinkle size, I'm not sure I can affect the wrinkle size as much as I'd like. Maybe that's the dot, like in the stroke. Wonder if we put color spray, what does that? I guess it doesn't change it a whole lot. What if we use drag rectangle? That's probably going to be completely not anything, or not what we want. And if we used freehand, it's pretty much the same. I'm just curious what gives us, it's probably the spacing, I would think, that gives us the frequency there, because nothing else is adjusting that. So I'm going to go into stroke and look at our, it may not be in stroke, it may actually be in brush. So let's try that. Curve, depth, samples, elasticity, twist. Just going to check modifiers here. Strength multiplier, smooth, pressure. I don't know that that's going to do it. But the scale is something I'd like to be able to affect. And I notice when I do it bigger, it just does the same size wrinkles over a larger area, which is not what I'm looking for. It's very cool. It's just I need to figure out how to adjust the scale here. Layers, fiber mesh. There's nothing talking about cloth, so it's just the brush itself. So I'm assuming the settings are within brush, possibly in edit curve, possibly in samples, radius, twist, orientation, surface. No. Yeah, so I'm not sure where this is coming from. Depth may have something to do with it. No, not so much. Same size. I mean, they work for that frequency of wrinkles, but if I wanted larger frequency wrinkles, maybe that's just what the nudge does. Let's find another cloth brush. Maybe I need cloth move. No, because that still has small frequency wrinkles. What's up with that, people? See those smaller frequency wrinkles? It's definitely not what I'm looking for. If any of you are watching and know, let me know for sure. Cloth fold, cloth ball, pinch, nudge. We've tried most of those. Try the fold. Whoa, that is not what I want. The intensity is super high on that. The draw size is pretty big on that too. So let's see what happens when you do something like that. I mean, yes and no. Oh, this cat. So I'm not sure the direction that they want you to go in for the fold. I guess that is the actual line of the fold, like so, which makes sense. Just smooth those up a little bit more. So that's not too bad. But some of these are just a little too small. All right, so now we'll come back in with the damn standard brush. If it will keep my brushes open, that would be nice. There we go. And just go ahead and finish this seam again. Since I removed a little bit of it with that fold brush. I think my navigation is just me in general. I'm just a little off today, apparently. All right, so if you do want to increase your resolution, you can always turn on Sculptris Pro. You can take your draw size down. Let's say if I wanted to come in here and make even tighter wrinkles. It works like Dyntopo and Blender, but unlike the Blender one, this actually works and works well. I know I sound like a hater, but if it's not going to work when I grab the tool and just use it, then I kind of don't want to use it. Because to me, the whole point is for it to work and work well and immediately. So ZBrush has kind of never let me down as far as its abilities. Now the company let me down because I paid for a perpetual license like others. Some of you may be even watching. And I understand that they changed hands, but it's just good practice to say, you know what? You guys paid for what they called a lifetime license, and you should have a lifetime license because that's what you were promised. I don't think the new company should recharge old customers. That's just, in my opinion, a little unethical. But hey, agree with me, don't agree with me. That's up to you. All right, so I think this is our very strange pillow to a degree. It's not perfect. But it is a pillow, and that's what counts. So now we're going to save that. We're going to just take it down because right now, well, we're at 265,000. I think we can do probably better using our decimation master here. We're going to pre-process the current object. We're going to take this down quite a bit less. We're going to now apply that decimation to here. Decimate the current object. We went from 200,000 to 53,000. I am much better with that. If you look at the polyframe, it's a little nicer. I'm wondering if we might be able to get that down even more. It is just a pillow. I don't want it to look blocky and chunky because we are going to be right up against it in camera. So let's try this one more time. We'll pre-process this again. And we'll see if we can get it down from 53,000 to something like 3,500. And let's go ahead and try. And hopefully it'll look good. So we'll decimate that now. Now we're down to 10,000, which I think is probably where we should probably stay. Just kind of looking at it, we're going to start getting some weird stretches. We're also going to wind up losing some of our wrinkling, which is something I don't want to do. But we went from 250,000 to 10,000. I think I can live with that. Let's go ahead and save or export this out. And we're just going to call it, need to put it in our proper folder, of course. And you guys can't see this, but trust me, I'm putting it in a folder. You're not missing anything. And we're just going to call this pillow from ZBrush. And it's going to be as an OBJ. Do I want to do it as an OBJ? He's thinking. Thinking. It's not going to cause me any problems either way, probably. Let's just do it as an FBX because I tend to do that a lot. They have more information associated. So all this looks good, blah, 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 and say OK. Not going to export any cameras. Normals, yes, so forth and so on. So now we exported that out. And now we're going to go back into Blender here. I think for the moment, probably don't need ZBrush to be open, so we'll go ahead and kill it for now. And now we're going to import the good pillow. FBX. This is just called pillow from ZBrush. Looks good to me. No animation needed. Import. And we need to go and figure out where our pillow is. It's way over here. So we're going to make sure we snap our or set our origin to the geometry. Let's just look at this from a couple of angles here and figure out where this needs to go. And I'm going to actually swap my screens out. You guys are going to get kind of screwed for a second here as I do this, but let me get that in position over here. We'll get you guys situated here momentarily. And there we go. And looking at this from the side, let's go into wireframe, figure out where this should really go. It's approximately the same size because we didn't change anything, so that's a good thing. And we're going to now slide it over from here to here. But before we put it in the exact place, I want to show you guys the difference between the original pillow and this one. You can see a huge difference. This was my Blender sculpting, and this is my ZBrush sculpting, so it's a huge difference. And that object, if we bring it into edit mode, is about 21,000 faces. It's saying here 10,000 vertices. I'm not horribly worried about it. If I was, I'd just go in and retopologize it, which you guys know is one of my favorite words in the world now. Let's just get this in the same relative place and then select the opposite one and delete it. And now we have a real pillow. Don't know what this kid's name is still. It's very sad. He has no name. It's the kid with no name. I'm going to possibly retopologize this only because if you look at this in UV, the UV editor, it's a mess. And if I tell it to, they're all triangles for one, which I'm not happy with. And if I tell this to remesh it, it's going to screw it up. I know. So if we also UV this, like say a smart UV project, it's kind of messy. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. And just looking at the overall scene here, we've got 250,000 polygons in this scene. It's not bad. It works as long as it doesn't crash or, you know, not render or any of that kind of good stuff. We may keep it, because retopology on this would be not the most fun thing to do, but also it wouldn't be too hard, I guess. I suppose. I'm going to save my file real quick, and then let's give it a go. I'll just retopologize it, because we'll be able to take it down from 20,000 faces probably to about 500, which you cut corners where you can. Let's just see what happens here. I'm going to select the opposite of everything in the scene here and hide everything except for the pillow. And then now, once again, I'm going to set my origin to the geometry just to make sure that it's weird that it's off to the left. I don't know why that would be. And make sure there's nothing else in the scene. Okay, so we're now going to go in here into Retopo Flow and see about retopologizing this lovely sculpted pillow. Should be pretty easy. I know I kind of said it wasn't, but I think it will be. Okay, so let's go ahead with our polypin and just create one big polygon about like that. And I think from this front edge, don't know what I'm doing there. We don't need symmetry, which is nice. We'll just create here and here. I'm just kind of creating a box based on its shape. So I think I am going to put in a couple loop cuts here right off the bat, just to help with the shape a little bit, because it's having a hard time with the contour here. And I'm going to move that particular point to a more desirable location. Let's go ahead and tweak these around here, because these are not having too good of a time over here. I think that's okay. All right, that's working. And we'll go ahead and complete with a couple more panels here. Call them panels, but they're polys. And something like that. Like that. Go ahead and go across the bottom. I'm just going to do one across the bottom for starters. Obviously that will break up to meet all of those guys when the time comes. It's doing an auto save right now. And now we need to extend out all of these for these end flaps. So let's just get this guy going here. Just going to go real basic to start with, and then we'll worry about the subdivisions of all these. Sorry if I'm putting you to sleep with the sound of my voice. Kind of doing the same to myself so I don't feel bad. Alright, so this will be here and here. Sort of. This will be done like so. The bottom we're just going to do as a single piece like that for now. And then the same thing for this side over here. We're not going to go out as far. There's no need. The cat agrees with me. First time for everything. Oh, no. She just said bat chance. Cat chance. I can't say the F word there, fat, because they've deemed that offensive if you even say it now. They're taking it out of the Raw Dog books. So, my bad. Sorry if I have offended anyone. You can tell I mean that. Okay, let's get the rest of this now. This particular one and this particular one. Boom. And then we'll start closing up the sides. Now, I'm going to need to make splits that match. So we will go with... if it will let me. It's auto-saving, so, you know, it does that. Here shortly, I'm going to have to eat lunch. Otherwise, I'm going to pass out, fall out of the chair. Which you guys might want to see, but that would be cruel on your part if that were the case. I'm sure Gina would like to see that. We watch sometimes MXC. We were watching MXC, and I've never seen somebody laugh so hard. And I asked why she was laughing so hard, and she said, because I can imagine you falling down and doing all of that. And that was just like, wow, you want to see me get hurt, do you? That's cool. Okay, so let me close up this end here. And my cat is on my desk, so that means get down, not turn around and give me that sass. She turned around and looked at me like, can I help you?
I know.
And she's like, who do you think you're snapping at? It's like, well, I think I'm snapping at the cat that's about to live outside. That's just my answer to that. So I'm just closing these up in a very basic and crude way, which is the best way to start with retopology. You don't want to get a bunch of detail in there until you need it. Just like these end pieces, they're going to be the bane of my existence. I'm warning you now. Not sure what's going on. Ah, I see. So these guys have moved to the wrong side of the whole thing here. So I need to pull them down to be on the proper side of this mesh. So lots of tweaking and adjusting, and things get affected kind of in the wrong way, like my mood at the moment. And we're going to wait for autosave again. Gotta love that cat in the background. It's going to become my signature thing. He's the guy with the cat that yells in the background all the time, right? Yep, that's me. I'd probably get a lot more viewers if I started yelling, shut up, really loud every time it happened, because it would be a unique signature, of course, or something to the videos. But let's not do that. Okay, so I'm trying to grab this guy. There we go. Make sure all these are on the surface. That's a pretty important thing to do too. And at the moment, I think I am... No, I better do this right. So we're going to bring those in like so. In here. Some of these overhangs will cause a little bit of an issue later, but we'll figure it out together. Or something like Captain Planet would say. Okay, now this, what's going on there? Okay, that's going to go there and to there. You can see how confusing this can get. That's going to go there to there. And that is not a great place. There we go. And then it will go from here to here to here. So I'm just trying to plot out where these polys land. So this goes from here to, and sometimes it can't see them, so you have to turn the model to where it can. For some reason this one wound up inside the mesh, which is not a good place for it to go. We'll undo that and wait for another autosave. This is just going to be nothing but frustration today. I have accepted it. But it's autosaving so much because I have so many polygons in the overall scene, not necessarily in this particular object. So that's going to go from here to here. You want to make sure that those somehow are on the surface, and for some reason they kind of feel like they are not. And I can't see them for whatever reason. That is not a great, excuse me, that is not a great thing. Because like I say, I have to kind of trick them into being accessible. So one way of doing that is to adjust them like so. So now they are on the outside. Not my favorite way to have to do that, but it is a way to do that. Okay, so those are hopefully back on the right side of the law. This will all get subdivided down to where there will be much more divisions to make up that form. This was supposed to be a very simple model here to have to work with. And we all know how that goes. It's supposed to be. Okay, and then this now will get here and here. And then this one will get joined across, as will this guy, and hopefully this guy, and this, so on and so on. So we're basically creating a very basic version of that same shape underneath there. And now we will take our loop tool and create loop cuts that go through here that allow this to form to the shape a lot better. And there will be more cuts where there needs to be more detail. But the nice thing is we don't have to rely solely on these loop cuts for all of the detail, because most of that detail will come from the projecting the detail back onto this model later using a shrink wrap modifier and a multi-resolution modifier, and things will be wonderful. So right now I'm just kind of making sure it has enough geometry to hold most of that shape. I'm also trying to even out that geometry quite a bit. And it's looking pretty good. The nice thing about this, though, is it doesn't matter a whole lot where a lot of these are on this particular object, because it is not an animated object. So therefore, I don't have to worry so much about where some of this lines up. In fact, I probably put a few too many polygons in a couple of places already. But I just like to be somewhat thorough and make sure it has a nice, more even surface. just trying to make sure we get at least the basics of these shapes worked out. So like I said, this is probably more than is necessary for the type of surface or model that it is. We do have a bit of a problem happening here, but once it gets done, taking its sweet time to work itself out, I can go in here and figure out what's going on with some of this, I believe, from the end here. I got to be careful that I'm only using the tweak tool because I don't want these to merge with each other. The tweak tool just sort of shoves them around. Instead of getting them to lay on top of each other and merge. That did not sound like I wanted it to sound. Alright, cool there, I think. Just trying to make sure these go farther up into that area. So I've got a few issues here, it looks like. Like some of these have pushed themselves down inside here, like this guy. If I can get it to sort of surrender, which it doesn't look like it's going to let me adjust that one. Let me see if the poly pen can select him. Quite possibly not. There we go. And then when I adjust this, it should pop back to the above surface here, which it also doesn't look like it's done. Well, this is highly frustrating at the moment. That's not helping. What are you doing?
I'm sending update picture because I'm pretty much finished with that commission. I just have to add the resin.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to keep working on this. A little bit frustrated trying to get certain parts of it to not be embedded in certain parts of it. As you can tell. To some degree, it's almost done. For some reason, it's not letting me use the tweak tool on anything, which I am a bit confused about, but oh, I see, those are still embedded inside, which we don't want. Just got to find a place where I can see the white part like so, and then we can how frustrating. And I normally can move that up and out where it goes, but it's being quite difficult. There we go on that one, at least. Tweak that over. So, for the most part, it's good, but it does have a few issues with the mesh there on that end of the pillow. I'm wondering if I throw in another loop cut, if it will try to pull out those other ones, because they're sort of separated from each other. But I'm too busy waiting for the autosave to do its thing. I'm trying to follow where my points are running to. So that one right there is the one I'm trying to grab. But as you can see, oh, almost let me. But if I can't see it, I can't grab it. So if it's between something and something else, it will never be visible. It will just always be obscured. And if it's not visible, then I can't do anything about it, which is quite frustrating. But there's the beginnings there. I got it to move some. And if I can find a way to get this to the surface here, then I can get it. And we have one more. It's kind of doing the same thing right there. So I need to find that from the inside here. The only time you can select them is when they turn pretty much bright white and there's nothing between you and it. It auto saves right at the moment I'm moving it. My favorite. And the important thing is, I mean, the thing that's kind of the most difficult is this is like a very important prop because it is right up against the camera in the shot. You know, it's prominently featured. So I'm going to see if I can throw a loop or two, maybe to help some of that pull where it goes. As I've said, though, a lot of this gets fixed by the fact that it's going to have projected detail. So we're going to come back out of here now and see what the new version of this is. This one says now it is bases. I'm going to select. I'm going to have to go into there, and it is 1684 compared to 10,000. So if we get the detail projected over on it okay, then we've done a good job. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and let you go for now. And we'll be back with more stuff.